Stephen Mbide for bringing us up to speed with what's no doubt a very regrettable tragedy there at Chiboko Enterprises in Namuwongo, a fire that began at around 8 o'clock last evening, still raging on now, despite the fact that there have been interventions from the fire brigade to be able to put it out. And that speaks a lot about the enormous loss that Chiboko Enterprises has been occasioned by that fire. But also it's something that should be a point of reflection, especially for industrial policy and local governments. When I look at the structures and the spaces, I'd also see the goods that, of course, have been destroyed. It speaks to one thing: investment in structures and spaces for industries must not be compromised. Imagine the billions lost on account of what appears to be, well, structures that are not up to the standard. We hope that it can be worked on, that particular conversation can be ignited in whichever circles ought to look at it. The industrial areas within the city and its metropolitan areas are poorly planned. The ability of the fire trucks to get there is also something that is questionable, and that alone, if it won't invoke any kind of conversations at industrial policy level, then nothing will. For the Kickstarter conversation, we'll be talking politics. Politics has a lot to do when it comes to realigning policy that can make industries better and work properly. I'll be introducing my guests very shortly and also seeking their opinion and 2 cents on this particular issue. But just to bring you up to speed with the discussion today, we will be talking about the Uganda People's Congress, a party that finds itself at the crossroads. Last Friday is a day to remember for the Uganda People's Congress. That means if you have been following the news, there was Bernard Namanya brought the UPC leadership case to a conclusion, unfavoring the administration of Jimmy Akena, whose reign has been, to say the least, beleaguered. The UPC leadership woes have been growing exponentially since 2015, and following this ruling on Friday, a new episode has been opened. Today, I'm joined by one of the top honchos within the Uganda People's Congress, a man who consistently says he's been undeclared as the president of the party. Joseph Ochieno is a regular here at MorningAtNTV, but today I won't be addressing him as a political analyst, a UPC honcho, because what we are going to talk about is UPC. Joseph Ochieno, welcome to MorningAtNTV. In the particular capacity as one of the protagonists in what appears to be a really, really contentious power struggle within one of the oldest parties in the country.
I thought you were being ungenerous to me. I have always been here in my capacity as UPC first and everything else second, and that will always remain.
Yeah.
But
maybe before you submit, many thanks for joining us too. Fred Ebil, Secretary General of the Uganda People's Congress. First question before I return to Joseph Ochieno for submission. Yes, you were sacked by the president.
I was not sacked.
On Monday.
I was not sacked. I'm still Secretary General of UPC.
The president.
Yes, I'm
Jimmy
now telling you,
Akena
I'm here.
Said
I am here as Secretary General.
You are relieved of your duties.
No, he did not say that. There was a slip of the tongue.
Okay.
Yes.
Joseph Ochieno, pardon me. Let me say too.
So the issue is, I'm here as Secretary General, and yesterday I even was with the President planning the emergency delegate conference, which was called. So it's only that I've been up country, that's why maybe you could have not seen me in action. I've been very busy doing party activities, but I am still Secretary General of UPC.
I'll be returning to you for clarification and comment on much of what is happening within the party in light of the court ruling. But you were submitting.
Yes, that in fact, UPC is the oldest political party. You'll be amazed that sometimes it can be semantics. We are the oldest political party because we founded in 1952 as Uganda National Congress, and DP was founded in 1954. Talk conflicts and internal contradictions. In 1959, when Uganda National Congress had internal contradictions, strictly ideological, not personality, our founding president, Ignatius Musazi, was sacked by the Delegates Conference, and Dr. Milton Obote was elected in absentia. The interesting thing about that is that when Dr. Obote was summoned to the Delegates Conference where he wasn't, his first point of contact was to go and meet Ignatius Musazi as president, and just to make sure that I'm looking for my president. And when he met Musazi, and Musazi conceded the fact that he had been sacked and blessed him, he continued to the delegates, and of course he's formalized. But most importantly, Obote set out on a path to reconciliation and quickly engaged over a one-year period with other organizations, including Uganda People's Union. Hence, in 1960, the parties emerged and reconstituted Uganda People's Congress. So from that perspective, we are the oldest political party. But you can see one of the reasons why I'm pushing that. Sackings can take place. Internal contradictions can take place, but where there's leadership also, it is possible for reconstitution of political interests to push for a national democratic liberation program, for which Uganda People's Congress is.
Okay, thank you very much. Secretary General,
yes, please.
What is the state of the party?
The state of the party is strong. Remember, we won by elections for Oyam North. We won the by-election of Dokolo. That's both by-elections of Oyam North and Dokolo. And we went and participated in Kisoro, although there was a lot of rigging. So we decided to embark on national mobilization strategy. And we moved around the country, and we believe our message was well received. As you're aware, the outcome is we decided to move to fill in positions of leadership. In every position, we decided to put in a candidate. So we are in that process of the grassroots election, then primary elections, in which we shall put in leadership for different positions. And with that, we think we shall crown it with a final delegate conference after this emergency delegate conference, which should be able to propel us to the general elections. So we believe UPC will perform strongly, and our message has been well received, and we thank Ugandans for receiving us well. And I expect these internal challenges that we are facing, like that my brother Ochieno is not yet with us, but I know in spirit is with us. Physically is not with us, but in spirit is with us. I expect all this we can resolve it, and we narrow the differences, because we know that we have a shared vision for this country.
You speak about emergency delegates conference, yes, ahead of the substantive.
Yes.
What conditions the emergency delegates conference? Is it the court ruling that was that declared the president's nomination illegal, null and void on account of violation of the party's constitution?
Yeah, there was that ruling that the president welcomed. As I've told you, I've been up country doing mobilization work. So when the ruling came, he embraced the ruling and said that he will not appeal, but ultimately has to take this view or the idea of embracing the ruling, not challenging it, and the outcome of the ruling to the delegate conference, to the members of the party, who are the owners of the party, who are represented by the members of the delegate conference, which is the supreme organ of the party, to make a final decision or to have a final say on that matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Allow me to stay with you on this, because as Secretary General of the Uganda People's Congress, you are the leader of business, so to speak. What does the party constitution say about presidential term limits?
Yeah, there's a 2008 constitution talks of 2 term limits, and if the judge, the way he said it, that Honorable Jim Akena was president of UPC from 2015 to 2020, that was the first term, by implication.
Has served the
2020
second.
to 2025 now, ending in August, has served this last term, that is 2 terms. Then all this decision, we have to take it to the owners of the party and tell them, yeah, look here, guys, this is what is at stake. So it is them to decide, the owners of the party, who are represented by the members of the delegate conference, and they'll tell us what to do.
It's quite disturbing to get around when it is clear that the party constitution does not allow the president to serve beyond 2 terms, and a court has actually stated that, and then you have to go to the leaders again, the party members, to seek opinion on what is very clear. What is the president trying to insinuate?
No, look here.
Usurpation of the constitution?
Every time we've had major issues or a major shift or a major issue, we've tried to take it to the members of the delegate conference. Even after the 1966 crisis, we had to take it to the delegate conference to look at where do we go after the abolition of kingdoms, because that was a crisis also. You remember the 1966 crisis. Faced with that crisis, we had to go for the delegate conference to address the issues of the policies, like the move to the left, that is the Nigeria Declaration. Then later on in 1969, we had to go to the delegate conference to pronounce themselves on the issue of the Common Man's Charter. So every time we've had major issues within the party or at stake, we have to take it to the owners of the party. So that has been our position, that the owners of the party are the ones to guide us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Joseph, I'll be asking you where your point of departure is with the mainstream UPC that is led by leaders including the Secretary General right now. But in light of the ruling that was handed down by Justice Bernard Namanya, I don't know what is being contested by calling for an emergency delegates conference. The party constitution is clear. Article 14(1), subsection 3 of the UPC constitution says the party president is limited to 2 5-year terms unless he becomes president of Uganda during the 2nd term, which has not happened for Akena.
You've asked Fred, who has attempted to give you a response there. But look, there is what you call the mainstream. You know, so I don't know what the mainstream party at the moment is and who heads it. Fred is right that when there are contentious issues, you take them to the delegates conference, which is the supreme organ of the party. But delegates conferences are not necessarily spaces for resolving very apparent, clear legal breaches. But you can take it to them. The delegates conference, in fact, until the party constitution was amended in 2008 or thereabout, we used to actually call it annual delegates conference. These are national conventions that should take place every year to engage with the party members and party leaders and go seek their mandates and things like that. In Jimmy's case, from 2015-16, his contested position, he never held a delegates conference until the delegates conference of 2020 that he called. The party constitution, as amended now, says you must have at least 2 delegates conference every 5 years. They breached it first time, they breached it second time around. I'm saying that you can see how we continuously breach party constitutions as a matter of formalities. But point of departure is quite clearly both legal and constitutional. The last democratically elected leader of Uganda People's Congress and delegates conference as constituted was 2010. That's a very long time ago, which elected Olaro Tunu. The election that should have replaced Olaro Tunu was an election in which Jimmy won majority district conferences, but Jimmy did not allow the process to conclude. In other words, Olara, as president, to call for a delegates conference which would either confirm Jimmy or others, or perhaps Adil almost have done so. That is when Jimmy called for a consultative conference. I think I'm boring a little bit. Consultative conference, which went ahead and conferred Jimmy as party president, in fact, party president-elect. The matter was contested. It took a long period of time, and Jimmy now says that this other one was rather quick. But yes, it was a very frustrating, long process of appeal that in 2020, Justice Mlegonja and her team resolved that Jimmy was indeed not elected president and fresh elections should take place. Fresh elections took place amid COVID, and that's the election in which Jimmy said he was not going to participate in, and so on the record. Walubiri participated, Dixon Opul and Dan Okello, and I participated in those elections, which I won, fudged, hence where we are at the moment. So if you talk about point of contention, away from myself, it is basically about the constitutionality. I have actually argued that I don't necessarily agree with Peter Walubiri, and he's my brother who's actually at the moment absent. I don't know where he is, but the point is, legally, on the basis of cost of appeal ruling of 2020, Walubiri ought to have organized fresh elections, which he did. But I want to say this very quickly. I've seen Jimmy make reference to delegates conferences which elected him, both of which are actually contentious and illegal. But the delegates conference that elected me, unfortunately, it was during COVID, and it was done at election by a resolution which nobody has challenged, simply because it was not on the cameras in Kamdini and it was not on the cameras somewhere in Nagasongola. Does not mean that it is formal and legal. That sort of is really where we are. But my appeal is to whoever is claiming the leadership of Uganda People's Congress to examine their conscience and check, as you're really challenging us on the question of the Constitution of Uganda People's Congress. Recognize that this is the oldest political party. Recognize that this is the only political party that has formed government, after direct elections by the members, and a political party that has never been diselected. Know that members of this party, most of whom are very poor, ordinary Ugandans in rural Ugandans, are looking for leadership and direction, and that the rest of other Ugandans are looking for direction and from Uganda People's Congress and the Uganda People's Congress together with other political parties, so that we work around a process of national transition for a tired regime of 40 years. People are looking for that leadership. We need to be able to provide that. But it will appear that from two factions that people called it Jimmy versus Walubiri, now an emergent faction within Jimmy's has emerged with Dennis Enap. Dennis went ahead and participated in an election process, which he knew very well it was an illegality, but I suspect he was doing it strategically, which sort of has served him now, because it's pushed a little bit of Jimmy and created a bit of a national name for himself. And at the moment, he's fairly now recognized national political leader. But the bottom line is, do we breach constitutions as we see fit to serve individual interests, or really are we in politics to serve the values and to serve the people of this country?
All right, talking about serving values and the people of the country, the president, while addressing journalists on Monday, was very, very candid. He asked the question, do we know where we are and what we are doing? That is Jimmy Akena. As the country looks for hope and direction, Uganda People's Congress leaders are tearing themselves apart and do not seem to understand their responsibilities. He said, that many have lost sight of the party's vision and are instead caught up in internal conflicts. Let's go for a break. When we return, Fred Ebil will be talking to us about the nature of these internal conflicts and why the president has lost trust in many of the leaders. Stay with us. Welcome back. I'm glad you're still with us here on the Kickstarter this Wednesday, the 23rd of July. We are looking at the Uganda People's Congress, a party that is seemingly at the crossroads. And before we went into the break, I'd asked the Secretary General, Fred Ebil, to talk to us about the internal conflicts that the president referred to on Monday as he addressed the journalists or the presser. But before he does, allow me welcome Dennis Enap.
Sure. Thank you.
Many thanks for joining us.
And my apologies.
Dennis Enap is a man who, if it were a boxing match, you seem to be in a tight corner right now. Or are you? You'll be talking to us about that, especially following a decision that was taken by the party president on Monday. Conflicts internal, Mr. Fred Ebil?
Yep.
Internal conflicts within the party?
Yeah.
And the apparent lack of an understanding of the party's vision by some leaders, if the words of Jimmy Akena are anything to go by.
Conflicts by its nature happen in all organizations. And it is not only in UPC, but how you manage a conflict matters as a leader. And that's why in UPC we've been having an open door policy. We've been having an open door policy to ensure that we, as a party, do not narrow our membership. In other words, we expand our membership. And that's the essence of mobilization.
That's right.
When you're doing mobilization, you don't only mobilize the people you agree with, but even the people you don't agree with, so that they come to understand your vision. So, in UPC, we admit that, like all organizations, we have people who do not possibly see the same direction, or in other words, they do not have the same vision about where we have to be or we ought to be as Ugandans. But we need to understand that much as we have different visions, we must come to agree that the future of this country needs us to appreciate that our future is shared. So having a shared future should be able to make us narrow the differences of the different thinking of where Uganda should be, or the vision. So with that, I think as a party we are trying to do that. And that's why I've tried to say that much as Joseph does not agree with the leadership of Honorable Jimmy Akena, much as Dennis, Council Dennis, Enap Adim does not agree with the leadership of Jimmy Akena, Honorable Jimmy Akena, we must admit that our future is shared. And once we have that minimum agreement, we'll always narrow the differences that we have, and we shall build a strong UPC. The new UPC that we should build should be based on shared the belief that much as we come from different backgrounds, our future is shared. Yeah.
All right. Welcome to the program, Mr. Dennis Dim Enap. You are vying for the presidency of Uganda People's Congress. True or false?
It's not true. I am party president.
You are party president
Congress. Yes.
of Uganda People's Congress. Before you submit, the Electoral Commission of the party, led by Haj Mahmoud Kizimbiraine, disqualified you. And the claim, as explained in accordance with Article 21 of the UPC Constitution, he says the commission was alarmed to learn that you unilaterally declared yourself party president, allegedly unopposed, on May the 2nd, 2025, That, he says, is both unconstitutional and misleading. How should I address you?
Party President.
Mr. Enap, submit.
My apologies for coming in late. On 22nd May, 2 of us were nominated. Akena and I, and the Secretary General and Electoral Commission communicated the same to the public. Sometime in June, I went to court challenging Akena's nomination on ground that it was illegal since he had served his 2 terms as party president. The party constitution of the UPC limits us to serve for only 2 terms. Akena was elected in 2015, and the second term came in 2020. On 18th July, the High Court confirmed what had always told the Electoral Commission of the party, together with the members, that Akena was nominated illegally. The decision to nominate him for a 3rd term was quashed. An injunction was issued to restrain the Uganda People's Congress to nominate Akena for the position of party president between 2025 and 2030. When we started out with the campaigns after being nominated, there were no electoral guidelines or rules that were given. And if anything, there was nothing to the effect that stopped me as a lawyer to campaign among the delegates with information to the effect that, according to the party constitution, I'm the only person nominated legally as party president. Be it as it may.
Nominated to contest.
Nominated to contest.
Yes, not party president.
What happens when one person is nominated unopposed? Do they still remain a candidate, or do they become a presumptive office bearer? That is the basic and basis of our messages and communication to the members of the party. On 20th July, I received an email together with a WhatsApp message from Kazimberaine Mahmoud, purporting to have disqualified me from that entire process. The decision he made was unilateral, or in essence, he made it as an individual. The party Electoral Commission has 4 members, himself as chairperson and 3 others. The decisions of the commission are made by a simple majority. When he made a decision to disqualify me on 20th, the Electoral Commission met on Monday, 21st. This issue was brought up. There were efforts by Maxwell Akora, I think is a member of parliament from Maruzi, in a patch where he's running from. Together with the chairperson, started coercing the other members of the commission to ratify the disqualification letter. Whereas this letter was sent to me on Sunday and it was received, they never made it public until yesterday. In that meeting of the Electoral Commission at the headquarters, the 3 commissioners voted against the purported disqualification. They also resolved to have me declared party president, nominated and opposed. To that end, they issued me with a declaration, and then they also gave me a certificate, documents which I have with me, signed by the 3 members of the Electoral Commission. And in the declaration, I'll just read something verbatim.
Very briefly.
By this declaration, the unilateral disqualification of Mr. Dennis Adime Enap by Haji Kazimberaine Mahmoud is hereby set aside or overruled. This was signed by Jack Habusi, the vice chairperson of the commission, Mr. Magero Emmanuel, a commissioner, together with Ms. Naomi. So in essence, the disqualification letter that was issued single-handedly. And this, when you read this, the English here is the English of Jimmy Akena, because I have worked with him. I know what is
not
capable.
His handler, not the English of Uganda People's Congress,
no,
but the English of Jimmy Akena as a person.
This is Jimmy Akena's English.
Okay.
At least I've had.
How do you know?
I've had the benefit of perusing all his writings when I worked with him.
Allow us to hear from the party secretary general. As all this is happening, what is happening in as far as that contestation is concerned?
Which one exactly?
In the disqualification, the contestation that has Mr. Enap effectively declaring himself president of the Uganda People's Congress on account, apparently, of being unopposed as a nominee. You are the party secretary general.
But if there is anything that you have, he has to appeal. There is always room to appeal. If there is only one commissioner, who, the way he's saying, because I'm saying it for the first time.
The secretary general is saying this for the first time.
Yeah, because I told you I was not around.
Not being around in office physically
absolutely.
Must not be an issue.
Absolutely,
honestly.
that's what I'm telling. So now, if this is the case, he has to appeal to the next level to challenge the decision of one person. And also, we have a very robust cabinet.
I think to help the Secretary General, there is no need for me to appeal.
Yeah.
The decision by the chairman was overruled by the commission. So, in essence, if there is anyone who is dissatisfied with the declaration of Dennis Adim Enap as party president of the Uganda People's Congress, then that person can freely go and
Who
appeal.
declares the president of Uganda People's Congress?
Simple majority of the Electoral Commission.
Secretary General, has this happened?
It has happened before.
No,
Actually,
within the context of Jimmy.
how his boss became president, it was by a simple majority. The chairman was out.
Now, the challenging part here,
So
was
it
that
is-
I don't know, because we had gone through a district conference. Now, this time, this is a constitutional matter that the term limits. This is a court matter now.
It's not a court.
The other time, it was not a court issue. It was that the district conference had nominated Honorable Jimmy Akena alone, unopposed. So the majority of the commissioners, declared Honorable Jimmy Akena president. And
So in other words, it's a practice that by
So-
a simple
there's a difference
majority of the Electoral Commission,
this time it's the
a
court.
decision is made.
Gentlemen,
We have not gotten yet to the district conference.
allow me pivot from a typical panel to a fireside chat. Joseph Ochieno, I want you to ask a question to the Secretary General and to Mr. Enap regarding this contestation. Do you have any question?
I'm suitably surprised that Fred, as Jimmy's Secretary General, is hearing and seeing this for the first time. I was privy as head of the External Bureau in UK when sort of related challenges, but for different reasons and very decent reasons. Dr. Bote was battling, unfortunately, from exile with Cecilia Gual at the party headquarters, where documentations were trafficking to and fro. Sisi used the excuse that she was up-country leader. But as early as that time, the faxes and messages of communication, quite clearly Cecilia knew. I'm surprised that in this day and age of social media, Dennis receives his notifications via email. Fred is effectively the chief administrator of the party, and he doesn't know. So Fred, I'm a little bit concerned by that. But Dennis, on the other hand, you're a lawyer, you're a fantastic lawyer. You know that the Court of Appeal, a higher court, made a very definitive ruling in 2020 that declared Jim Akena not president, asked for fresh elections, which fresh elections I participated in. Maybe that's now my interest. Fresh elections took place regardless of the challenge that it faced. You know that from that, therefore, anything that Jim Akena did, except for the fact that Wolubiri went missing, was basically, unconstitutional, illegal, null and void. And I like the manner in which you've been very systematic about this. I'm just surprised that you then decided to go ahead and participate in very clearly an apparent illegality of Jim Akena. But I know you're a decent young man who can be rather cheeky. So what were you on at that stage? What were your thoughts?
Please respond.
I think, Joseph, if I may help you, my brother here has been on suspension. He had to negotiate his
Wait a minute.
His entry.
Secretary General has been under suspension.
Yes, he had been pushed out.
No,
that's why all this has happened without his knowledge.
You are wrong, because I've been attending IPOD meetings. Even in Noya,
yeah, I saw you on that IPOD meeting.
Yes, even in Noya I was in an IPOD meeting. So the fact is that when you're in Noya, there is no network almost, literally. Poro is too far away, like from the Kampala. Wow. So when you talk that I was suspended, I was not suspended.
My brother here, I've been in communication.
The man was simply offline.
No, I've been with him. I've been communicating with him.
All right, please.
But to respond to my elder, Joseph,
lie again. The issue is the difference. Do you accept that there is a difference between this time it's court?
No, the question is. Where one candidate
it is court which declared this time.
No.
Then the other time it was district conference. Yeah.
Allow me help you with this basics. Remember, I am the lawyer who was behind 2015 for Jimmy Akena, right? And I'm the same lawyer behind the current issues. If anything, I am the person who helped you sustain the first term in office using an interim order for the 5 years.
Yes.
Is that true or not?
Yeah, together with Chaze. Yeah, you and Council Chaze.
I am the lawyer who helped you people.
Yes.
But that stated, Joseph, in law school, I was privileged to be lectured by Professor Oloka Onyango. And he helped us appreciate the principle, the Kelsen theory of law and state, which roughly says when someone uses force to distort a legal establishment, and then they go ahead to consolidate and change the entire regime or adopt part of the previous regime, then they become a substantive holder of whichever offices they have assumed. And that is the reason Obote Milton, one of the founding fathers of the Uganda People's Congress, was able to assume power in 1967 as president. Remember, at 62, we had Sir Edward Mutesa as president, and then 67, we had Milton Obote coming in. 71, we had President Amin, who overthrew government and consolidated and set up his government. 86, we have President Museveni. And in 66, there was a case that caused a lot of issues, and that is Uganda versus Commissioner of Prisons, ex parte Matov. And that's where the Kelsen theory was introduced in the politics of Uganda. So to that end, when I went to court, I agree. I have had several interactions with Joseph, and we have agreed, yes, legally, Jimmy didn't ascend into the UPC presidency through the party constitution. But then there are other avenues of principles of law that recognize his presidency. Now, at some point, the same Akena was running around telling people that the Court of Appeal disqualified and nullified his first term in office, which was reason he was running around saying that he was running for another term. So I said, when I met with him, I told him, Jimmy, do you want me to put this to test? And shaky as he always is, he didn't give me an affirmative response. So I went to court, and court indeed confirmed the principle or the Kelsen theory of law and state, the effect that Jimmy Akena substantively has served as party president for the 2 terms. So to be a pragmatic politician away from the courts, I had to participate in an election organized by him because, one, all agencies of government recognize him as party president, and the court has also, with his illegality, gone ahead to recognize him as party president, having served for the 2 terms. And that's now a ruling that is struggling with running around like headless chicken, addressing press conferences, purporting to dismiss members of the Party Electoral Commission, and then drafting documents purporting to disqualify a party president.
Gentlemen, Uganda People's Congress is in a very precarious situation right now.
I doubt. I don't think so. I told you, conflict by its nature can be negative and can be positive. It depends on how the leadership handles it. If you handle in a panicky way, that's why I'm always calm, even in times of distress, because it's good to...
I was about to ask, why do you appear distressed?
Yes, it's good to be a critical thinker, because critical thinking entails pausing a little and sometimes thinking through things. Because for you to have differences is normal, but how do you handle it is what we should be discussing in the delegate conference. And that's why I said on the 26th of this month, it must be resolved that members of the delegate conference must be sober. They must not be worked out. They must be composed knowing that there's a legal matter, not a political matter first, which was solved by courts of law, and the party president has not challenged it. So by being sober, it will address many things. And I've told you, July has never been a good month for us, especially
as a party.
As a party, because now even the 27th July,
wow,
which took us out of government.
The month is jinxed.
Yes, but how we come out of this matters a lot. How we end up.
Interesting. Seems like the president has already decided, because here he said, I spoke to the Secretary General in a lengthy discussion, and we agreed to part ways ahead of the 2026 general election.
I said it was a slip of the tongue. Now, as I've told you, I'm Secretary General, and I cannot say something.
He was fired. Actually, the other thing I would say, on 21st, that was Monday, after the Electoral Commission declaring me, I took oath before a commissioner of votes as party president. In essence, Honorable Bill is a de facto Secretary General with my permission, because I need us to manage the internal process.
So you are the ones firing people now. Now you look at this politics of UPC.
Jimmy.
Joseph Ochieno.
Just a quick one.
1 minute.
Just a quick one. I get responses from two of my colleagues, but just it's important to clarify this, particularly for Dennis, that Sir Edward was president from 1963 and not 62 at independence. Exactly. But that was a titular position. But I don't agree with the idea that we can compare 1966-67 with Idi Amin's coup. There was an internal crisis that did take place, that central government had to respond to. And after that, Dennis, Obote only became president following an internal process. We are parliamentary democracy. Parliamentarians actually voted, and they voted to amend the constitution. So it is formally legal, and I don't think it's anything compared to 1971 and on this madness of NRA.
All right, Joseph Ochieno, many thanks. Fred Ebil, many thanks for making time.
Thank you.
Mr.
Enap.
Party president.
Thank you. Of the other wing, but fair enough.
Allow me draw the curtains on the Kickstarter conversation this morning. It has been an unusual one, and I hope that the politicians watching, you have picked something on how things ought to go. There is need to reflect on governance, there is need to reflect on the politics of our country and how internal matters are resolved before we can seek to be able to take the nation through the transformation that it deserves. We'll be right back with a look at pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response agreements by the actors. Stay with us.